China just pulled off something extraordinary in space. 2 launches within hours, each with a completely different purpose. One delivered a mysterious satellite, Yaogan-45, into an orbit we rarely see used. The other expanded Geely's growing constellation that's transforming how cars, cities, and industries connect. But what makes these missions stand out isn't just the rockets or payloads. It's what they reveal about the future of orbital technology. When China announced the successful launch of Yaogan-45, the description seemed straightforward: a satellite for scientific experiments, land surveys, crop yield assessments, and disaster monitoring. Yet space analysts immediately noticed something unusual. This satellite wasn't headed into the familiar low Earth or Sun-synchronous orbit. Instead, Yaogan-45 was placed into medium Earth orbit, an altitude range usually reserved for navigation satellites. That shift alone raised questions about what capabilities this spacecraft may actually carry. The launch vehicle itself adds more intrigue. Yaogan-45 rode aboard a Long March 7A rocket from Wenchang on Hainan Island. Until now, this rocket had been used mainly for missions to a geosynchronous transfer orbit. But for this launch, engineers modified the design. They expanded the core stage tank structure and upgraded the engines to allow multiple restarts. These improvements boosted its payload capacity from 7,000 kilograms to over 8,000 kilograms when delivering to medium orbit. That increase may not sound dramatic, but in orbital mechanics, every kilogram matters, and this upgrade significantly widens the kinds of missions the Long March 7A can support. Yaogan-45 itself also appears to be larger than typical satellites in the Yaogan family. The closest comparison is Yaogan-41, launched in late 2023 on a Long March 5 rocket, which also operates at a higher altitude than the norm. The fact that 2 larger Yaogan spacecraft now exist in elevated orbits suggests a deliberate pattern. What could this mean? A satellite at medium altitude has the advantage of seeing a larger portion of Earth at once. While it doesn't provide the ultra-fine detail achievable from low Earth orbit, it excels at wide-area monitoring, continuous coverage, and potentially coordinating with other satellites across multiple orbital layers. This orbit also means longer passes over specific regions and less frequent need for replacements, extending the utility of each satellite. That efficiency can be especially valuable when the cost of launches and satellite construction continues to rise. Just hours before Yaogan-45 lifted off, another very different rocket soared from a floating launch pad off the coast of Rizhao City in Shandong Province. This time, the vehicle was the Jielong-3, or Smart Dragon 3, a solid propellant rocket designed for commercial missions. Its cargo? 11 satellites for Geely's Geesatcom Constellation, a project that, while quieter than high-profile space ventures, may have just as much impact on everyday technology. Geely is best known globally as an automaker, but through its subsidiary G-Space, it's been building an ambitious network of satellites. The company's goal is clear: create a constellation that provides centimeter-level high-precision positioning services. If that sounds like science fiction, consider how valuable such precision is. For autonomous vehicles, centimeter accuracy can mean the difference between smooth navigation and miscalculations. For industries like shipping, agriculture, and construction, that level of precision enables smarter, safer, and more efficient operations. With this latest launch, Geesatcom now counts 52 satellites in orbit. The company has announced plans to complete the first phase of 64 satellites by the end of 2025, with another launch already scheduled later. What makes the system powerful isn't just the number of satellites, but the technology inside them. They support inter-satellite communication, enabling data to be relayed without constantly relying on ground stations. They also connect to IoT platforms, expanding applications far beyond navigation into areas like environmental monitoring, marine fisheries, and smart city infrastructure. Geely is also going global with its reach. The company has signed partnerships across more than 20 countries, including telecom providers in Oman, Saudi Arabia, Morocco, Malaysia, and Argentina. These collaborations suggest that Geesatcom isn't meant to serve just domestic markets. It's being positioned as an international service provider. For developing economies, where traditional infrastructure can be costly or difficult to expand, satellite-based systems like Geesatcom could offer leapfrog solutions for connectivity. Equally interesting is how Geely is blending industries. It's rare to see a car manufacturer step so confidently into space technology, yet the strategy makes sense. Automobiles are increasingly becoming computers on wheels, requiring constant data flows and precise location information. Taken together, these two launches, Yaogan-45 into medium orbit and Geely's 11 satellites into low orbit, offer a window into how China is reshaping its approach to space. Instead of seeing launches as isolated events, it's better to think of them as puzzle pieces forming a larger picture, a layered orbital strategy that balances public and private goals. On the government side, the Yaogan-45 launch demonstrates advances in both spacecraft design and launch vehicle performance. By upgrading the Long March 7A, engineers have opened new possibilities for medium-orbit missions, which historically were more challenging for this rocket family. This adaptability shows how China is steadily refining its space infrastructure, ensuring its rockets can handle diverse mission profiles. For a nation pursuing increasingly complex orbital architectures, having flexible launch options is a critical advantage. On the private side, Geely's Constellation expansion illustrates the momentum of commercial space ventures. With Geesatcom, the company is joining a trend seen globally, using space-based networks to solve terrestrial challenges. Geesatcom is designed for precise navigation and IoT services. Both approaches highlight how satellites are no longer just about exploration or national projects. They're becoming integrated tools for everyday industries. Another key detail is pace. By early September 2025, these launches mark the 53rd and 54th orbital missions from China in the year alone. Apart from one commercial failure in August, all have been successful, putting China on track to surpass its record of 68 launches set in 2024. This level of activity isn't just about numbers. It reflects a highly organized and rapidly advancing space ecosystem, where state and private actors are aligned in pushing boundaries. Looking ahead, the activity isn't slowing down. Observers are already expecting a static fire test of the Long March 10th, a heavy-lift rocket being prepared for future crewed and lunar missions. If that test proceeds successfully, it will underline the sheer breadth of China's ambitions, from reconnaissance and IoT to deep space exploration. What ties all of this together is the recognition that space is becoming critical infrastructure. Satellites now influence agriculture, disaster response, autonomous driving, and urban planning. They also reflect a nation's technological maturity. With missions like Yaogan-45 and Geesatcom, China is building not only more satellites, but also a more interconnected orbital environment that blends wide-area monitoring with everyday connectivity. Two launches, two very different missions. Yet together they tell the story of a country pushing hard to expand its presence in orbit. From the unusual placement of Yaogan-45 to the practical growth of Geely's Constellation, these steps highlight a future where satellites shape both global monitoring and daily connectivity. The big question now, how will these moves ripple across industries and space exploration in the years to come? Share your thoughts below. I'd love to hear them. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on space exploration and scientific discoveries. And don't forget to leave a comment below. Also, you can visit our website, spaceinews.com. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.